When you hear the word improv, you probably picture a stage, right? Bright lights, some people trying to make an audience laugh.
For sure. And, comedy's a big part of it. But at its heart, improvisation is really the art of creating something brand new, right in the moment.
Yeah, with no script, no plan.
Exactly.
Okay.
Pure, unscripted creation. And that's why it's so much more than a stage skill.
Right.
I mean, think about it. If you've ever had to deal with an unexpected problem at school, or even just a conversation where you don't know what your friend is going to say next,
You're improvising.
you're improvising. You're using those same core principles.
Okay, so our goal here is to really break down those rules and techniques. We want to show how practicing these almost silly-seeming stage games can actually help you become more confident.
And how they teach you to think on your feet when things just don't go as planned. We're going to walk through how you build a scene from absolutely nothing.
Let's start with the big one, the one rule everyone sort of knows, even if they've never done improv. Yes.
Yeah. Right. It sounds so simple, but it is the absolute foundation. The yes part is about breaking that natural instinct to say no or to criticize an idea.
So if your partner says, wow, it's cold up here on Mars, you don't say, we're not on Mars, we're in a classroom.
Exactly. You say yes. You accept their reality 100%. No matter how ridiculous, you're on Mars now. That's the truth.
And then comes the and. This is the part where you build. You don't just agree, you add a new piece of information.
Right.
So yes, it's cold up here on Mars, and I think my space helmet is starting to crack.
Perfect. That little addition, the cracking helmet, pushes the story forward without yes and. The scene just stops. It dies right there with an argument. We call that blocking.
So in the real world, this isn't about just agreeing with everything. It's about collaboration. Instead of shooting down an idea in a group project by saying, that won't work, improv teaches you to think, okay, yes, that's a starting point, and we could build on it by doing this.
It creates momentum. You value every idea, even the shaky ones, because they give you something to work with. The flow of ideas is more important than being right, at least at the start.
But you can't just say and randomly. It all falls apart if you're not doing the one thing that comes before it, which is active listening.
This is
Yeah.
the real secret. Good improvisers are incredible listeners. They aren't just waiting for their turn to say something funny.
No, they're watching everything, listening not just to the words, but for what's underneath them, the tone, the body language.
Totally. And if you're in your head trying to write your next perfect line while your partner is talking, you're going to miss something vital.
Oh, for sure. Maybe they just casually mentioned their pet iguana, Bartholomew, but you were too busy thinking up a pun.
And now Bartholomew is key to the whole scene, and you missed it. Your response makes no sense, and the reality you were building together is, well, it's broken.
True listening means your response will actually connect to what they just gave you, both verbally and non-verbally. And that's such a useful skill for, everything. Following instructions in class, understanding what a friend really means.
It's about listening to discover, not just to reply.
Okay, so once you're listening and accepting ideas, you need to add some structure. And that starts with character.
Right. You have to decide who you are, but more importantly, you have to decide what your character wants. What's their goal? What problem are they trying to solve?
So a character isn't just a funny voice or a weird walk. That's the surface level. The real character comes from their motivation. Are you a nervous scientist trying to hide a mistake? Or a brave explorer looking for a lost city?
And once you know what you want, your reactions become almost automatic. If your character is terrified of being wrong and someone questions them, you're going to physically shrink. You'll stammer. You have to stay true to that motivation.
And while you're being a character, you also have to build the setting. The stage is usually empty, so you create the world with your movements.
This takes a lot of mental focus. If you shiver, you're telling everyone it's cold. You're in a forest or an Arctic tundra, and you have to remember that.
And you have to be specific. If you put your imaginary keys down on an imaginary table to your left, those keys have to stay on that table.
Yes. You can't walk through that table later or through a wall you established. You're tracking your character, your partner, and a whole invisible map of the room in your head.
It's like managing a really complex project with a lot of moving parts.
Which brings us to object work. This is handling all those invisible things as if they're real.
It's not just mime. It's about making the audience believe it's real by showing its properties, like weight or texture or temperature.
Exactly. If you're drinking from an imaginary cup of hot tea, you hold it carefully, you blow on it. You show us it's hot without saying a word.
Or if you're carrying a heavy suitcase, your body has to show that strain. You lean, you struggle a bit,
And keeping track of that object's size and location while also having a conversation. It forces you to be incredibly present and focused. It's a great exercise for concentration.
Let's talk about the engine that really makes this all run. Team dynamics. Improv is a team sport, first and foremost.
It is. It's built on a foundation of trust. And your main job is actually to support your teammates, to make them look good.
We call that gifting, right? Giving your scene partner a piece of information that helps them, that gives them something to play with.
Yes, if you see your partner is struggling, you jump in with a new idea to help them out. You never, ever try to be the only star on stage.
Because the best scenes happen when everyone shares that responsibility. If one person hogs the spotlight, the trust is gone, and creativity just stops.
And when you have that trust, you can all work together to find the game in the scene.
Okay, so the game. What exactly is that?
The game is just a pattern. It's the interesting or funny thing that happens, and then you all agree, unspokenly, to do it again.
So, like, if a character says something weirdly specific about, I don't know, socks, and the audience laughs.
That's your signal. The game is now about socks. So you find ways to bring up socks again and again, each time in a more and more ridiculous way.
That gives the scene a focus. It's not just random anymore.
Right, it has a structure. But the key is escalation. You don't just repeat the joke. You make it bigger. You raise the stakes.
So you go from talking about socks to wearing socks on your hands to trying to build a shelter out of socks.
Precisely. You have to keep raising the absurdity, but at a pace that makes sense inside the world you've built. You can't go from 0 to 100 in 10 seconds.
Tying all this together is energy, which doesn't just mean being loud.
No, not at all.
Where?
Energy is about being present,
Mm-hmm.
engaged. Your voice needs to carry, sure, but the real energy comes from being completely invested in the moment.
If you look bored, the audience feels bored.
You're the engine. Your energy fuels the entire performance.
Okay, so what happens when things go wrong? Because they will. Someone forgets a name or trips over their own feet.
And this is probably the most powerful lesson from improv. The mindset is there are no mistakes,
Only opportunities.
only new opportunities. You have to embrace the accident. If you trip, maybe your character's just clumsy. That's a new, interesting fact about them.
If your partner calls you by the wrong name, great. Now you have a secret identity.
The one rule is you never apologize. Never break the reality of the scene to say, oops. You just incorporate the mistake as a new piece of information and see where it takes you. It completely removes the fear of failure.
Which is huge. Okay, last thing. Knowing when to stop. Ending a scene.
Just as important as starting one. You want to end on a high note.
Right after a big laugh or when the problem of the scene is solved, you don't want to just let it drag on until the energy fizzles out.
Find that natural stopping point, deliver a strong final line, we call it a button, and then get off the stage confidently. A crisp ending feels professional and satisfying for everyone.
So what does this all mean for you if you never plan on performing? Well, these are all tools for thinking. You can practice yes and in a conversation with your family. Just see what happens when you build on their ideas instead of questioning them.
You can practice object work anywhere. When you're washing dishes, imagine that plate is a priceless artifact. Notice how much more focused you become. You can even get character ideas just from observing people at the mall or in a park.
Improv is like a muscle. The more you use these skills, the stronger they get. It's a way to get better at communicating, at working with others.
And really, at being ready for anything life throws at you. It teaches you to not just deal with uncertainty, but to actually enjoy it.
Good luck with your studies.